podcast may contain content that might be objectionable. The views and opinions expressed in the podcasts produced on this channel are those of the individual podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of AMV Zone Podcast. Some podcasts are for mature audiences and include language not suitable for young listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the AMV Zone Podcast. My name is Beck. I'm also known as Golden Shinigami. I don't think many people know me on YouTube. Today I have with me Patton, also known as, how do I say it, OSNV.
You got it. Yeah, everyone always tries to give it some really fucked up pronunciation. And no, it's just OSNV, just the letters as it is.
Okay, so you don't pronounce it as like a word?
Yeah, more people know me as Patton at this point now than my online handles.
I actually know you for your old ID.
Yeah, I've had fewer names than most people, but yeah, still.
All right, so when I actually found out that I was going to be doing the podcast with you, we're both people that have been around for like a long ass time in the community. Like,
yeah, we've been here for a fucking minute.
Like, I think I started 2008-ish. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, yeah, 2008, and I think I started around, it was August 2007 was when I started editing, and it's December 2019 now. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. Like how do you actually know that you started back at that time? It's like, did you watch a video that really stood out that got you into it?
I started out editing videos on YouTube because I was watching Club Penguin music videos at the time.
So it wasn't AMVs?
It wasn't AMVs. I started doing Club Penguin music videos at first. And I don't know, to 2007, it was really big then. Everyone had a Club Penguin, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I was just watching like narrative videos with it. Like this dude, Heat Blast 227. I'm sure like that name's like familiar to some people who are listening, but I started out watching his stuff. Then like in related videos, there'd be like some really trash, like lyric video or whatever with like, so I click on that and it'd be like New Blue Effects, like 1.3 used in it and stuff. So I'm like, oh, what's all this? Like, how am I like, what's going on?
You mean like those RuneScape videos where they would write down the lyrics in chat?
Exactly. It was exactly like that. And so I started doing those. And then that started learning more about the video editing effects, how to get Sony Vegas. Like I was like a little kid and like begged my parents some I was at Circuit City, which isn't even like a fucking chain anymore in America.
Circuit City?
Yeah, it was like a different version of Best Buy.
Oh, okay.
And like I begged them, like, because everyone by my house, I'm like, can I buy a Sony Vegas movie studio there for like $40? Like, which is like an infinite amount of money when you're a kid. And I actually so they ended up buying Sony Vegas for me, like movie studio.
That's actually pretty rare. I think most people never did that.
Yeah,
even to this day.
Because like I didn't know how to pirate stuff at the time. I had no idea. But I remember I got it and it was so shitty. And the features on it were so limited because there's a different versions of it of Sony Vegas. There used to be like movie studio, like silver and like gold or whatever and pro. And the other versions were so cut back and limited. I was so pissed when I got it that I learned how to pirate it out of spite that day. Because I got it and I installed it and I was like, this is so shitty. I got to figure this pirate shit out.
I do remember that, yeah.
So I went home and fucking busted out Pirate Bay and one of them loud ass keygens and gave my computer a fucking virus and it was great. And I was off the fucking races, man.
I used to have this glitch where the keygen would infinitely start opening. And
yeah, that used to fucking happen all the time. Like keygens back then were actually shitty. Like kids these days don't. Here we are already starting, but kids these days don't know how good they have it with like repacks and stuff. Like there's no keygens and stuff nowadays. It's just like one repack for Vegas now.
Yeah, dropping like a DLL file into a folder and it's done. There's none of that like plug your cable out, put in this file.
Yeah, it was actually
don't open Vegas. Don't open Vegas before you put in this file. Blah blah blah. There was all these requirements.
Destroy your router, like put your router in another room, like turn everything off. Like, did you know? It was just like, yeah, you had to go through so many actual steps to crack shit, and now it's like just install it. That's it. You're good.
Dude, even if people weren't to use like Sony Vegas or something, you got shit like DaVinci Resolve right now that is like, I think like in the professional world, like really killing it, and it's free, and most people don't know about it. But I guess back then we didn't have a choice because I guess like everyone started using either Movie Maker or iMovie. You immediately knew when people use iMovie, you would see these text animations.
Yeah, there was like 3 like stock anime. I mean, lots of my early videos were Windows Movie Maker, like the blue fucking screen with the white text.
Yeah.
That was a lot of my videos were those. But yeah, the iMovie stuff was like way more blatant for some reason. It was like way more limited, I think.
Yeah, it would have like the same like text coming in from left and right and like an angle and stuff, and it was like always the same shit.
I knew a couple of like iMovie editors, and they used to flex that they're editing on a Mac, that they're like,
yeah, pretty much. So you had your start at, or basically you started by watching like the Club Penguin videos. They used to make lyric videos out of that. How did you transition from that into actually like editing anime, like AMVs?
I think I got bored of Club Penguin, and I was trying to. No, what it was I started doing like a video game videos. I bought a Dazzle DVD recorder capture card, like a component.
I remember those.
Card. Yeah, I bought one of those because I was making a Budokai Tenkaichi 3 fanfic. Like people used to make those videos.
A fanfic?
A fanfic video. So like you like go and like record the characters, and you go in the replay settings and like turn the HUD off and stuff, and you'd record that, and you'd put like your own text over it, you know?
Oh my god.
And I was working with, like, I had a writer for it and everything. Like I didn't do the writing, some other dude did, and I just would do the recording, you know? But he lived in Australia, this dude. And so like all of our correspondence would have like a fucking day between it. Like I'd message him a question or something, and he'd take forever to respond because the time zones were all fucked up. And so one day I'm like, fuck it, like I want to edit some Dragon Ball Z, but I don't have like the video game footage right now for the writing, because I'm like, you know, he's waiting on him to send me the script, so I'm like, let me go get like clip or something off it. And I went to ended up finding out about DB Arena, which it doesn't have the clips anymore, but at the time it used to have a few like Dragon Ball Z clips. It had like 20 clips or something.
I remember
AVI,
that.
in like DivX AVI. And on the website you could download it for free. And everyone in the universe used that site. It was hilarious.
Yep.
But I got that, and then I started putting stuff together, and I was making, I think my first full AMV is it's like a 3 Days Grace Dragon Ball Z AMV with like Riot or something. It's got to be something like that, I think. Like
one of the classics.
Oh yeah, man. You can't see in the visual now, but Andy just posted a screen cap of the website, and it's a screen cap of it from Windows Vista. Dude took the screenshot. Has
oh my god!
Oh my god! It looked, that's like an updated version of it too. It's not, that doesn't even look like it nowadays. Or what
that looks really familiar to me.
Yeah, but that's updated. That was before. I mean, that's after it had the clips and stuff. That doesn't look like it right there. But yeah, it was really old. And then like it was like a ton of fucking like ads. This is before ad block and stuff on Chrome existed. So you had to like be actually careful about what you clicked on. Otherwise, if you were like a pixel off, it was actually just a fucking virus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because you or I don't know, did you ever use LimeWire?
No, I never used LimeWire. I went straight to
Really?
uTorrent. I never used any of those services. What about you?
I was all right. So I think for the first 3 years of me editing, or 3 to 4 years at least, I was on my parents' PC, and I have Turkish parents, and they are very strict. If I fuck around with something my dad spent a lot of money on, I'm gonna get my ass beat. So I was also very undercover about that I was editing videos on my dad's PC. He wasn't supposed to find out, right? This was kind of like the era where you go like, okay, I don't want people to know that I actually fucking watch anime and shit.
Yeah, you couldn't tell anyone you were an editor. That was super gay back then, man. Like,
Yeah. And there used to be, okay, so I used to download all my stuff from LimeWire, but LimeWire was so messed up. It had whole AMVs on it. It had this, you probably know this, the 3 Doors Down Dragon Ball Z AMV.
Yep.
Like,
I know that one. There's like a few AMVs that stand out that everyone knows.
With the Jun Emba fight.
Yep.
Like that one on LimeWire, if you typed in like Dragon Ball Z, it would show up like Goku versus Frieza, and you download it, which would take like a whole day because it's just, back then internet was terrible. You download it and it's just that video. It's like no matter what you download it was that video. So I would get that, and I was like, at some point I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll use that to edit. And then
use the AMV. You cut up the already made AMV.
I used to cut that up, but back then I can say for a fact my first video was 10 minutes long, and it took me 10 minutes to make. And of course I tried to upload the save file because I didn't know what rendering was.
Yeah, that took it was when you did render, it was probably WMV format.
Oh, my first format was AVI.
Oh my god.
And I got to learn that the hard way.
It was like XVID, AVI, or DivX. There was those 2 codecs infamously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was always I guess back then, you had the software, everyone was basically using the same stuff, so you always kind of found out like how to edit video. But back then I remember that being able to have a really good source that gives you stuff that doesn't have subs or doesn't have watermarks or that stuff was like impossible to find back then. So you would have to crop out subtitles, like, and don't give a fuck about the logo that's in the corner of like Jetix or whatever. It was really broke back in the day.
It used to be like, you'd see people with like the big ass like Tokyo TV, like 4 kids like TV like watermarks in the corners. They were like clips and shit. It was like
there was an editor.
Watermarks were huge back then, like on kids shows and stuff. It would take up like a full like quarter of the screen basically. I feel like it stands out that much at least. Now it's like, even if I see someone using like a Kiss anime clip and it's got like that little watermark on it, like I want to throw up. But still, we've come a long way when it comes to watermarking stuff.
Not gonna lie, if I saw a video that I thought was dope and it had a watermark in it, I was thankful, because the watermark showed me what movements they were making with the screen. I was like, oh, so that's how they do the shakes. They fucking move it left to right, up and down. And
oh my God.
The watermark gave their style away. I was like, like as a kid, I was like, they're so stupid. Like, I know exactly what they're doing. But then, people found out about New Blue active camera shit, and then that started to be the shake of
it's New Blue Earthquake, not active camera, man. It's specifically Earthquake.
I like the train ride one. That was dope.
That one's a good one.
But
did you ever go through like the different phases of styles that everyone went through?
Oh yeah, there was. I remember one style being the manga edits, where people would cut out manga panels and put video in.
I think like Thonuts started that with his Goku's World edit. You remember that video?
Yeah, I think I know that.
Yeah, there's a sequence in there where he's got like manga like moving around and stuff, and he's got like blurred, so like it's like moving and stuff. It's really rudimentary, but like that video, I feel like I saw a lot of that after that video came out.
Yeah, back in the day, pre-comping wasn't a thing. So you would legit try to mask out the panel, which would probably be like a really bad mask, position your video behind it, render that, import it back in, and then that would be, during that process, you're losing quality because you're reusing footage that's rendered.
Yeah, because
at the end,
no one used like lossless stuff yet. Yeah, so like it's just like MP4 at like 2400 Mbps or something.
It was fucking awful, man. Like, and yeah, like I said, like I never had a good source. I would get, I think I edited One Piece mostly during that time. I would get stuff with like Spanish subtitles and like watermarks and stuff, and I would just be like, hey, if I cut out the audio and hide the subs, I'm good.
Remember the thing for a while though was like the Spanish episodes of stuff were like the high quality episodes, like the Spanish DBZ or whatever, like encodes were like really good or something somehow. Like I think that was a lie, ended up being, but because the
Spanish One Piece was really good.
Yeah, but like I remember that came around like 2009, 2010, like Casper, like 7,000 Rays. There was like telling people like he originally used like Spanish DBZ encodes or something. So that was the thing to do, was his stuff. I didn't like his stuff back then, and I still don't like it now. Like his clips, man.
Didn't he make this one? He released the whole pack of scripted episodes, right? Like he released the whole thing.
He doesn't even script it. Here we go. I remember there was a big deal. I was annoyed at the time when he put it out. I'm like, he didn't even script this. You could tell too. He just fucking put it in virtual dub and used the warp sharp function in virtual dub on it. He didn't even like actually go into depth about it. I mean, I've yet to put out episode 2, so I've yet to go out in depth about it. But still, like I was looking at that, I'm like, this is just virtual dub warp sharp. This is not even any AV Iceland shit, really.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I guess around the time that he did bring that out, I think a lot of people were thankful anyways, because getting a source was just fucking awful. Like, I remember there's this one editor that I always, like, I think I was a kid. I think I was like 16, 17. I'm 25 now. There was this guy called the Maxtremists. I don't know if you know him.
That doesn't ring a bell at all.
He used to edit a lot of One Piece, but for some reason, he always had like the best looking clips and whatever. And I'm not sure if it was him, but I had later then found out that the guy actually buys the DVDs for these animes and burns them onto his, or like takes it off of the CD and edits them.
I used to rip DVDs too. I used to do that. I have all my Evangelion I had ripped. FLCL, I ripped my DVDs. That was the thing. I remember that. Yeah, I would actually buy a lot of my own footage. Even though it was available, the quality of the ones that are available weren't even that good at the time. So you could rip them in better quality.
Yeah, nowadays we got like Fooly Cooly on like Blu-ray, and
that's just a Nya search away nowadays. Though they got so easy.
Pretty much, like if you're someone that wants to edit anime that's like, for example, stuff that's ongoing, you just go onto Horrible Subs and they got you covered.
That too, even though the Horrible Subs and codes are just all right. But yeah. You have a lot of options these days, even like lower quality stuff. Like it's still way better than what was some of the best shit. Not even that long ago. I feel like encoding, especially since H.265 it came out, has really gotten like a lot better for anime stuff. Like the standards have changed a lot.
So like, we're talking about how we're talking as if like back in the day that was like we were hustling trying to get along a video, but it was fun. Like I think, at least for myself, I had a lot of fun doing it, even though if I were to do it now, I'd be like, okay, this is too much fucking work trying to get an episode. I guess as a kid I had this drive that I was like, okay, I want to put out a video. I don't care what I have to do, type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's like that to a point, and then you keep doing that and you stay that way, and you just like kind of like not edit for fun, but like that's kind of what you do, or you like something like clicks one day in your head or something, and you're like, maybe I can do something with this, you know?
Yeah, like to you, because obviously you've been doing it up until this point. It's like it has evolved in like how you do it and what you do, and like it's completely changed for you. Like what was your process from where were you like, okay, I'm gonna take this serious now and maybe follow it as like a career choice?
It was a single pinnacle point and one specific video. Because I used to just watch a bunch of AMVs and stuff, and I would just be like, okay, that's fun. There's a fun like Soul Eater edit, whatever, you know. I was doing flash whoring stuff at the time, you know, linear blur, Gaussian blur with like brightness and contrast on every clip, radial blur.
Oh yeah,
shit, you know.
Yeah, that was a trend as well.
That was a big trend. I was part of that, and I'm just making betas and stuff at the time. You know, I hadn't really done a full like really, because even though my fulls back in like 2007 and 8 and stuff were just like trash. So like it was just like padded fulls, you know. And I don't know how I ended up on it, but one day on YouTube in my related videos was AMV Soup's FLCL video. Fuck this shit, I'm out of here. And
I think I know that one.
Yeah, it's FLCL Fully Cooley with Motion City Soundtracks. The song is abbreviated as LGFUAD. And I remember watching that, and I was like, it like hit me. I was like, wow, I've never like seen an AMV make me feel something, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it stood out to me. And because it wasn't a bunch of flashes, it wasn't a bunch of like, you know, gradient maps and like, you know, plugins and stuff. It was just like raw editing, and it was just scene selection and like stuff and like crossfades. And I was just like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. I was like, I've never had an AMV make me feel something. And then I discovered his channel, went through all those videos. In related videos, there was Joey's channel, Arashi AMV from DZ Studios. And like, there's a whole other world of animemusicvideos.org editors, you know, like JForce321, Benji. There's a lot of people out there, and it was just like a totally different community that didn't exist and didn't care about like the YouTube community. There's a big divide, but the anime.org editors took it really seriously, or at least that was reflected in their work to me, and it really like, clicked in my head. And it was also a time in my life when I like it was just sort of like an important time in my life, I guess. It was one of my
You're deciding on like a career path.
Yeah, but in my personal life, I remember like I was just like, I felt like a kid at the time or whatever, because I was like 12 or whatever, and like my first like dumb like girlfriend. I was like 13 at the time. My girlfriend like at the time like dumped me, and I'm like a little kid. I think it's the end of the world, you know, because I hadn't been dumped before. And so I go and I make a really edgy YouTube account, and I name it X Hollow Soul and stuff, you know, and like I'm just they're editing like edgy Naruto stuff. I'm just like literally the edgiest fucking kid imaginable, right? And then I come across that video, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is like a real video. And from there, I like just hard stopped doing effects. I just completely stopped doing effects, and I just went on this big raw editing binge, and I was decrying people for using effects. What are you doing? This and that. I became a huge troll in the community. It was hilarious. And then like
because you are even till now known as a raw editor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a raw editor. I use quite a lot of effects in my videos, but I use them in a way that it only just facilitates the thing I'm trying to do with scene selection and pacing. I've still like, I don't know who told me it, but like if you're using, you know, a ton of effects, you're spending a lot of time on a frame. You can spend many hours on a frame, and you can try and make that frame look good, you know? Like you can do as many After Effects comps as you want. You can do Twister to it, RSMB, whatever, you know? Whatever you're doing to it. But if it's the wrong frame, then it's worthless, you know? You know, scene selection and internal pacing is going to be like always way more important. And then once you make something worth putting effects on, then you can put effects on it. But a lot of people just sort of skip that step in editing, I feel like.
You know, this is why I always looked up to the people that would actually do a lot of editing with masks, or like make videos with just masks, because I never looked at a clip that I thought of masking and I was like, okay, is this really worth it? Putting in like 3 to 4 hours of work so I can put this image on another one. Because I was never too confident in like scene selection and stuff like that. And I think because of the lack of trust I had in that, I kind of also like, I also started out as a like effect heavy editor, but I now try to stick to raw. But that was more of a choice I made because I was kind of okay, I can't do this stuff anymore.
I can't copy and paste the same presets anymore. It's too much work.
Damn.
Dragging
Sapphire plugins ain't doing it.
Dragging this new Blue Effects S Shake or whatever the fuck on it. Yeah.
So obviously you went through that transition where you started taking it more seriously. You like discovered this whole community. And it was like filled with like-minded people that weren't like just doing it as like a fun thing and whatever. It was more like taking it seriously.
Everyone took it really seriously, and they put a lot of thought and effort behind their work and sent betas to each other and stuff of videos. But I came around in that time around like 2011, 2012 into that community. And that was kind of the end of that community though. So I came in the community after dumping a bunch of my old friends and my old ways of thinking about editing. Made a bunch of new friends, got a bunch of new ideas about editing. And then they all immediately stopped uploading, basically. Everyone completely died off. That community had completely died off, basically.
Damn.
Yeah. And I felt kind of bitter and weird about that for a long time because I didn't really know what to do because I didn't really have a community anymore. Like I was one of the few people still uploading stuff in that style, so I felt like very alone. And I got kind of like bitter and vindictive about it, which is weird to think about with AMVs, but like I definitely felt like underappreciated for many years, and I stopped watching other people's AMVs like for like 3 or 4 years. If someone were to send me a link to a video, I would watch it. Other than that, I only watched my own work. I just
You never like sought out to look at new stuff or find new people that were editing?
Nah, man, nothing. If it appeared in my sub feed, it was from someone I already knew. I think I was watching Ken Shinoro from Crow's team. That Jeff, whenever he would upload something, but if his uploads were few and far between, he was kind of doing a lot of the same thing I was in that time. In that like we're just kind of like isolated. Like yeah, he was part of Crows and Nero, but he didn't really give a shit about them. You know, like it was just something like slapped in. Just like I had been like kind of repping NV. That was really big studio for years, and I wanted to be a part of it. And then by the time it got handed off to me, like there was no one left in it. Like no Sam or Beggy or Ulysses AMV Soup. Like it'd be in a studio that I've been aspired to be a part of for a long time, and then when it finally got handed to me, it was like, here's nobody. It's dead. I'm like, sweet, okay, I'll just rep it by myself for a couple years.
That was also a big thing.
Yeah, I got into DZ too. Joey asked me to join in 2012, I think. And by that time, though, everyone had stopped pretty much uploading. Like I think only Monkey King Ghost had kept uploading after that in DZ. Joey put up a couple of videos here and there, but in general, I joined that community after pretty much all of it died. There's nothing on the org anymore, but so I kind of like there weren't a lot of other videos for me to watch either. That was the thing too. So I just focused on my own work and improving that. And I didn't send betas. I didn't beta test for about 5 years, I think. Like nothing. I would just make a video and it'd be put out. And if it landed, it landed. If it didn't, it didn't. And until I joined Team Karasu, I think that was the last and the most recent studio. And it's probably going to be the last one, So.
You're going to stick to it?
Yeah, man. They are my absolute family, man. I know you had Crimson on here and he's talking about that.
Yeah, I heard about it, how you guys think of each other. And I've never really heard of a studio that really, because I looked at the stuff you guys do, and I've listened on the previous podcast of how Crimson, how he thinks about it. Like, he sounded really dedicated. And I've never heard, most people that are in studios together don't even know like each other's real names and stuff. Like they don't hang out. They just put each other in a list, and then they're like, okay, I guess we're in a studio. But you guys really like do stuff together.
Yeah, we take it real seriously. It's like a real internet family, and like, so it was co-founded by Kane MTX. That's just the same dude, different names. And he just changed it. I miss his old name, but he's empty. He goes by MTX now. And Funami. And Funami was my last editing student. I met Jamil in like 2013, 2014. And I just kind of took him under my wing and stuff at the time. And I wasn't in any studio at the time. I was just still repping NV just by myself. So I taught him a bunch of stuff. And then he started TK in late 2014, I think, early 2015. I'm pretty sure, somewhere around then. I remember we were still on Skype at the time. Discord wasn't around yet. I know that much. But they started that. And I really didn't pay attention to it because I didn't really know what the hell it was, and it was kind of like a weeby name too. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's just some like they got some weeb shit going on here. This is gay. So I didn't want to be a part of it. And then, I think Jamil just added me one day and said, hey, you're a part of it. Funami just added me one day on Sketch that he are part of it. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I'm part of it or whatever. So
just like that. No.
There was no vetting process for me. I had the special exception. I got kicked. I've been kicked out of it once when we were back on Skype. I got kicked out.
What did you do?
I was posting shemale porn in the chat on Skype, and MTX was testing me. He said, "You posted again, I'm kicking you."
Oh my god!
So of course, I can't blink. So I'm not gonna be the one to fucking blink and not post it. So I immediately posted something else, and I got kicked, and then refused to rejoin the chat. And I think I just didn't join out of spite, just to not do it. And then Jamil just added me back in one day, and been in it since, man. Yeah. But man, they're my family. I'm part owner now. Funami had been stepped down, and it's me, Mars, and MTX. We're all partial owners of it.
And it's not the only channel you guys are being part of, right? You guys have multiple channels.
We've all got our hands all over the place in all kinds of projects. I'm part of Idle Glance too. I do work with that. And then multiple things in the community too. I've been in a lot of recent years. I've been a technical and creative consultant and advisor on a lot of stuff. I've been doing a lot of encoding for people, scripting for people. Here's how you do this and that technically. Like I've really focused on I think people kind of know me for okay, this has got to be really high quality. We got to get Patton to take care of it,
Yeah, so you would be like the back end of a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah, man.
With people that needed work done.
Yeah, I was everywhere, man. Just all behind the scenes working and doing stuff. So, and I enjoy doing that. I prefer to have that rather than just be the face of something. I prefer to no, I'll help out with it and I'll get it going and I'll do this and that. But I don't think I have the emotional stamina to be the face of something.
I get what you mean.
I have enough self-awareness to that too. You so many times see people take over a big project and have some big public meltdown, then go AFK for months, and it's I feel like I would definitely do that. So I have enough self-awareness to not agree to that beforehand, if I just dip randomly, it's not gonna be as big of a deal if the face of something dips,
A lot of people would actually do that in the AMV community and then make a comeback video. And they would actually be like, hey guys, I'm back. And then you literally notice that they would put out a video. You're like, okay, they obviously are rusty. And then people would if it was a big personality, and I mean, with big, I mean 1K subs back in the day was
that was a big deal, man.
That was a really big deal.
Holy shit,
You had, what's that guy called? His name is Donnie Darko Remains now. I think his name was Rock the Rhythm.
Neither of those are ringing a bell to me.
That was a guy that was he was really into One Piece and Bleach editing, but he would make a lot of fulls all the time. And I think back in the day, his channel got deleted. And then he made another video, I think a couple years later, and people just looked at it and they were just like, hey man, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. This video sucks. And I'm like, he hasn't been editing for a while. Of course, it's not going to be as good as it used to be. So a lot of people back in the day got discouraged by, they first of all felt bad for taking a break, and then they had the fear of coming back. There was this big social thing going on. I don't know if you know Misho-kun.
It sounds familiar.
He was glitch dubstep heavy VFX.
What year is this?
I would say 212 to 214-ish.
That's when I stopped watching, so.
Oh, okay.
No.
He made a comeback and people hated on his video so much. He made, in his video after that, he made a call out to the viewers being like, fuck you, I'll do what the fuck I want and shit. It was a big thing back in the day.
I think that should be a part of it. I think you should do your own thing regardless of input, but also I do feel like people need to be more open to genuine harsh criticism of stuff,
Definitely.
People know me as yeah, I'm gonna rip apart the it's my streams and stuff, and I'm gonna do judging
oh
shit.
yeah, I've seen those.
I sit there and I pick it apart frame by frame, but I feel if that's how it was back then, when people would send betas to each other and beta test it, especially when the AMV community people, they would rip your shit apart. You should see some of the posts on the forums there. When people upload a video, you would get fucking destroyed if there was some weird glitch for a half second in your video. You'd be like, that's it, you're fucked up,
A big thing was people exporting videos with a different frame rate than the actual project. So you would see a millisecond of an episode that shouldn't be there.
It had a ghost thing. Yeah, it was like frame sampling. It was like fucked up. Or like not disabling resample when they like sped something up.
Yeah.
It'd be like, yeah. But I thrived on that, you know, like really brutal criticism because it forced me to like, okay, if they're going to rip my video to shreds, I got to make something really, really good because I don't want to be told I'm shit. So, you know, and it was good, legitimate criticism too. It wasn't just like, wow, this is shit because you're using this song. Like, no, they would go through just like I did and they'd pick it apart frame by frame, what to change, you know?
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I'm editing with that in mind. So by the time it got to the point where I'm beta testing stuff, knowing it would be ripped to shreds if it wasn't, you know, perfect, you know, I edited, I guess, very differently or cautiously with that in mind. But I enjoyed it. The end result, I'd say, is always the most important part.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that, I don't know. There's two kinds of people that whenever they finish a video, they either upload it and never look at it or like kind of forget about it because they don't want to go back and look and be like, oh, okay, there's this one part I fucked up, but I can't change it now. Or there's those people that keep rewatching their video because they're just really satisfied with the end result.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Yeah, there's people just upload it and just forget it. And people who like, it's like a big deal. It's a release, you know?
Yeah, which one are you? The upload forget it type?
Yeah, I have to say I'm upload and forget it, but that's like unintentional, I guess. Like, cause I'm generally like, once I finish something, I just get out of the headspace of the video, you know, like it's up there. I just spent hours scripting it and doing this and doing it in code on it and stuff. And it's like, all right, I'm done with that, you know? I don't want to go back to it. I'm out of my headspace for that release. I'm happy for it, but you know, I got other stuff I'm cooking up already generally, you know? So it's like, okay, cool. I did the video. All right, what's the next one?
All right. So, if we step back and we talk about like, we talk about personal life, if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So, what is like the things you are doing right now to be able to like make a living or like pay the bills? Like, are you doing creative work? Are you in like the creative sector?
I do creative work. It doesn't pay the bills though. Eventually that'd be nice to try and get that to where does pay the bills full time. But right now, I am the front of house manager at a restaurant.
Okay. That actually doesn't sound like that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I've always kind of had manager positions kind of early on in my life. I worked at a hotel. That was my first job. And I worked my way up there just because people kept leaving. So like I became like slowly like the most qualified person there just because I'd been there the longest.
Was it more because you like, because a lot of places have that same stuff, but it's like because you can kind of like get through the bullshit without being like, fuck it, I'm leaving type thing?
Well, I like being in charge of things, and I'm generally good at it too. I'm good at organizing people and telling them what to do. I was in Boy Scouts as a kid, and I was the patrol leader. And so I had to like organize all kinds of shit when we go camping and shit like that. Like, so I got used to like running a crew of people like pretty early on as a kid. And that translated over to like when I started working and stuff.
Even now to you being part of the head of Karasu.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I know how to like deal, and it kind of like scales as you get older. It's a lot of the same stuff, but it's different too. But you can apply a lot of the same ways of running people. But then again, it doesn't, you know, Team Karasu kind of like it runs itself, you know, like people do come and go. We do get new members. There is a heavy vetting process, but it's not really skill based. We're not looking for any more editors ever, and we haven't been for years now. It hasn't been, wow, your editing is so insane, dude, we need you in here. It's almost never really been about that either. We just kind of use that as like a part of the vetting process sometimes. You know, Crimson fits in as one of the most recent members that stands out to everyone.
He does, yeah.
His editing was dog shit when we first met him. I remember I tore his video apart in JT5, his testing entry with Naruto. It was horrific. It was garbage, dude. And
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, he will be. Hi, Crimson. Dude, that video was AIDS, man. Anyway, but technical difficulties on Annie's end. I love calling him Annie. Yo, I remember I completely forgot NH was part of the Karasu for a time.
Oh my god.
Yo, that's going way back though. Yeah, though. It kind of runs itself. It doesn't really like, you know, but we are like, it's not really a studio, you know, that has to be run. It's an internet family. It's an artist collective. I forgot what you were even talking about, but I love Team Karasu. Crimson's video was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Crimson's video was terrible. It's garbage.
Yeah.
And over the next couple of months, we kind of like I got to know him really well because I knew like we had still done like the vetting process of like having like trial members at the time, and so I wanted to get real involved with that of like, okay, who the hell's coming? Who wants to be a part of this? You know. So I started talking with him real heavy on Discord, going over stuff, talking about editing in general, how like, you know, giving him like sort of like, I guess kind of teaching him like as a student, but I still considered Jamil to be my last editing student. But a lot of it's walking through explaining like the mindset of editing to people rather than like technical stuff, like, you know, technical shit they can learn from like a YouTube video, like how to do this Twixtor thing or whatever, you know. They don't need to know. I don't need to tell them that. But the mindset of like motivations behind editing, that's what I feel like most people probably still need to learn.
I would apply that same logic to, for example, we had an intern the other day at work. Like I work at an agency and we do ads, and we do get interns every now and then, and they're very confident in their knowledge about software or whatever. But for example, there was this one kid that was really confident in his knowledge for DaVinci Resolve for color coding. And I was like, okay, well, give it a go. And I told him it looked like absolute dog shit because, you know, the kid didn't have any, like, he doesn't know anything about like color theory. And you don't get that by knowing how a program works and then just like maybe playing around with it for like a long ass time. But there's actual like whole courses, like books, it like anything that like there's a lot of stuff that you can learn about color theory that is not in the software. And I think people, especially in the community, you have, for example, people that make videos that hit every beat or like have to make a cut on every beat because they don't know better.
Hard syncing,
yeah. Some people do it really well. I really like Corey's videos.
Oh my god.
Okay, we might have mixed opinions. I just really like his flow. And I like
what flow?
Come on, man. It's pretty smooth stuff.
I want to host Corey's episode just so I can kick his fucking ass.
We might get that done, but
coming for you, Corey. Coming for you.
I kind of want to talk about the whole like the personal life stuff again, because a lot of people have this misconception that like you have done professional work in like video, right? Like you have done some project or some things for people that probably don't even know how to like cut a video themselves, but like customers like that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of local work for people like around town, like who want like an ad for like their small business. A lot of it's kind of cringe because like they shoot it themselves, like, hey, I did this thing or whatever, and like I just do the editing work on it, or like I'll make like website logos and like stuff like that for people. But
like you also notice how in general there's this misconception that you got to be like really well educated on this stuff, and then when you look at what has to be done or what people want, and like 90% is like people that know how to edit videos, like the bar is so low for like advertising work. You don't need to know much to actually get into that business. Well, even if it's a shitty business.
I feel like yes and no with that. You know, you don't need to be like academically well versed to be able to do it. You just need to be able to like, you know, prove it with your portfolio. But at the same time, there's a lot of people I see doing work for a lot of people who probably shouldn't be. Like for a long time, the YouTube channel Trash had some really nice artists, musicians on there, and they have absolutely no standards. They had no standards for a long time. Like, they'd get an XXXTentacion video and it would get, multiple hundreds of millions of views even before he died. And it was just the biggest fucking piece of shit in the world. It was just AIDS, man. And on the other end, they uploaded like smart death music videos, which were actually shot and edited well. But so, like professionally, like with red cameras and stuff like that, and like there's like a middle ground with that. But what people don't keep in mind, I suppose, is that no matter what client work you do, no matter how small, you're still like, that's going to be part of your public portfolio, whether you want it to be or not. So
Yeah.
a lot of what I've done is with that in mind too. Like I've always like, even when I did like really young work when I was like a freelancer, like when I was like even like 15 or something, I started doing work for people. I even kept that in mind then, because I knew like it's gonna be like, even if no one finds it, no one comes across it, like even if my name's not on it, like it's something that I've done, that I've put my like seal of approval on. Even for projects that I felt were bullshit and I had to just like grind it out, it's still like it has to be good enough for me. The customer doesn't know shit. He still, we got no standards, but it has to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have high enough standards for themselves for that to reflect in a lot of their work, and that's what I feel like is pretty prevalent these days, because it's so easy to get your hands on a program but not actually know what you're doing, like that intern.
Yeah, like because I did go to film school, and back then the study that I was doing was called AV specialist, so you got to learn everything from audio, video, photo, like working in a studio. And I can say, like, for those 2 years that I was in that school, I didn't learn a single new thing. I was rather taught how to do things I already knew in a different way. And I was kind of like, I don't need to know that stuff. And I dropped out of film school, and I started working at like McDonald's or something. Like, I think I probably worked at a McDonald's for like a year, but ended up working for an agency in another country now, like doing advertisements. And when I do still see people say like, oh yeah, I want to be able to do something creative, but there's this university where I can learn how to do film and stuff. Like, I can say for a fact, most people we have at work that are working in our company right now haven't necessarily studied. Like, neither have I, or I've dropped out at least. And literally all of that has come from trying to keep up with like AMV stuff, learning how to do stuff properly, learning how to cut and like do scene selection and whatever. You can apply that same stuff to like a legit music video.
That's what a lot of times I'm brought on for. It's like creative consulting and technical advisement with like music videos and things like that. And I didn't have any experience starting out in music videos like that. I just started doing AMVs. But if you're doing it right, the editing principles all carry over. There's this dude from AMV.org, a really, really old head, like editing in like 2003 and stuff. Julian Milo, known as Beowulf online. He got his editing career professionally started because he made a 25-minute AMV, and known as Story of the Antichrist. It's kind of like a famous AMV.
I think I know that one.
It's like a bunch of Marilyn Manson songs and stuff, and it's like Berserk and like Fist of the North Star, like really old anime and stuff like that. But he would submit that like as his portfolio to places, and he got to start doing that. But I think he did that in 2005 or something. But he had been editing for years up until that point, making fulls, doing it properly. Like you said, you talk about like Corey's hard syncing. Not to just shit on Corey specifically because he's a bit of a meme at this point in the community, but like
most people do it.
Yeah, but that's exactly sort of what I was doing too before I felt like I actually started improving as an editor. Like if I saw a spike on a waveform, I'm like, okay, I do a flash here or a cut here, or I do a big blur here,
Yeah, the audio waveform would be like a preset.
Exactly.
Where you can put down your markers.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time who come to me, how do I get better? It's like, ignore the waveform. It's meaningless. The waveform is absolutely meaningless. Internal sync and scene selection, it's always going to be the most important aspect of it, is doing it creatively. If it's just hard sync, and I've said this in all my editing streams of when I'm judging people's streams, is if you're hard syncing to every beat, once I've watched 5 seconds of it, I've watched the entire video. So I know it's going to happen.
What's coming.
Like generally I've heard the song already, or if I'm not, I hear the tempo of it. I know you're going to cut it on every fucking snare or whatever, like that's it. I've seen the whole video. It doesn't matter, especially if it's a source that everyone's already seen too. It's like this video is pointless. It's just pointless. But if go ahead.
No, I wanted to bring up another example, but I'll tell you after.
Okay, but if you learn to be creative with just cutting, just hard cuts, not even crossfades or anything else. Like I tell people, just make long videos. I don't really have any students anymore, but I tell people just a big sort of general. Here's something you can do that will improve your editing. It's just make long videos and only use hard cuts to do it. And then just repeat that and keep making them. And just keep doing that for a year, basically. It's your training arc, It's your training arc, in your anime. Just like Deku and fucking, you know what I mean? It's a training arc, bro. Just do that for a year. That will improve a lot of people's editing. Because then you can go and take effects and you have something that's worth starting to put effects on,
This is why the people... because there's this big divide between Vegas, people that started editing in Vegas, and then people that just straight went into After Effects and then later used Premiere. It's even in a professional workflow, it's very important that before you start using any type of effects on your video, you lay down the groundwork, you lay down what you want done, and then you import it into After Effects. That's why it's called that you actually apply all that shit.
It's post effects, man. It's post effects for a reason. Your edit's done. Now you're touching it up, making it look nice. You're doing something you couldn't do with just cutting, I rarely use After Effects for stuff. I went to Premiere back in 2014. I switched. I was one of the first Premiere editors, as far as I know. I know some people out there who do it now still. There's only a couple, but I mean, at that time there was 3 other people who were Premiere mains. And back then Premiere was really shitty, but it's just a really nice, it's a way nicer version of Vegas. Basically.
A lot more stable.
A lot of people are scared of Premiere for some reason. And I'm literally just transfer your binds from Vegas over. Just change the razor tool key to S in Premiere, and it's literally Vegas. It's literally Vegas, but it's way better.
Yeah, something DaVinci Resolve did is before you install it, they ask you what software you're familiar with and then change the layout according to that software. So if you're familiar with Premiere, DaVinci Resolve is going to look like Premiere. I wish Premiere did that for Vegas, that they had some sort of preset, but even if there's not a preset like that, you can literally do anything with the windows.
Yeah, you can make it look like Vegas. Speaking of that though, you remember people who used Vegas and they would put the preview on the bottom?
Wasn't Vegas...
I've seen that with 3 people. I was always horrified when they send me a screenshot.
So oh man, I don't know if people still have that, but you would see Vegas with a different color palette. It would be pink with black buttons.
I know Genetics does that. He fucking changes the color scheme on Windows to do that.
Dude, I look at that stuff.
It's horrific.
It looks horrible. I'm sorry guys, but it looks horrible.
It's people
I like it completely black. For some reason.
It's people who edit with the music on the top.
The audio layer on
the audio layer on the top of the timeline. It's oh god. No, what are you doing? It's horrific.
There's a reason Premiere fucking divided those things.
Yes.
So the audio doesn't go on top. It looks horrible. You know what the worst was? And I know you're gonna relate to this or relate to seeing this. So, before people found out what markers were, they used to actually cut the audio wave, the audio form.
Yeah, but Vegas,
you could hear it.
Because Vegas would do a half, a frame's worth of fade in and out. Yeah,
yes.
like an auto crossfade. And so it would just fuck it up. God, dude, you used to be able to hear it so many times. You'd be watching a video and you could hear them cutting the audio with it. It was horrific. It could just be like a second of just like, but it'd be like a shit ton in a row. It was awful. People who did that.
Dude, the amount of Il Nino, I Am Loco.
Oh my God, that song. Holy shit.
I Am Loco. How many cuts I heard during that song. It's like I legit thought I had like something wrong with my brain, that I have heard this song so often that my brain was just chipping parts away. But people have just been cutting the audio. It's like, it's so stupid because they either didn't notice it or they just didn't care at all. Like back then it was kind of like, I don't know, like the Wild West type shit. People were like, if it's good enough, I'll upload it.
No, even back then, man, I was calling people out. It was like 2010. I'm calling people out for that shit. I'm like, at least just like, if you cut the audio, just delete the audio track and re-import the song. Like, just do that at least at the end, right before you render. Like, no, that's too much work. I'm like, then die. It's just like, it's terrible, man. I was calling people out from the start for doing that. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard to not fuck that up. It's not hard.
What about people doing MEPs?
Oh, God.
You know where this is going? They send their parts, and the guy that assembles the MEP doesn't make a new track for the audio. He assembles all individual tracks with their own audio.
I mean, at that point, the general kind of MEPs where the people participating are doing that isn't worth watching, and it's already ruined from the start. So luckily that doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's annoying too. I always like doing collabs or MEPs and stuff is never posting who did what part.
Oh, you don't do that?
I hate doing that. I always hated doing that because I feel like it always ruined the video as a whole.
I do that because I made an MEP a couple years ago, and I did that because just because out of respect for the people participating. I think they just wanted their name in the video. But I think you talk about that before you release it.
Yeah, like I list who did the parts, but I always put it out of order intentionally, and I always I always put parts not listed in order. Like it's an uncredited MEP or an uncredited collab, but it's the people put like markers, like timestamp markers. You know, like first 30 seconds is this guy, 30 seconds to a minute was this dude. Like I hate when people do that. It ruins the video as a whole. People are like, well, people want to know who did what part. It's like if you're a real fan of the work and you really give a shit of who did what part anyway, you can tell just by watching it.
Oh, you know those MEPs where they put the name in the video?
Yeah, like it's like a watermark. It's like, oh God.
It's like at the bottom. They have like their own logos with like Ichigo Hollow Mask and stuff. It's like,
I just can't believe there's still like there's MEPs where people still just like have like it's like just a bunch of like 20-second betas and they're all like different anime or they're the same anime.
It's like 40 parts.
It's like 40 parts. And it's just a big like scrap pile, literally, which is like fine as its own thing, but it's a terrible MEP. You know, pick one really good song and everyone just edits a little part of it, or everyone edits a bunch of fulls. Like some of my favorite MEPs are like 25 minutes long. Like, because it's literally everyone just doing a full video and it's the same theme, like Halloween maps, you know. Looking forward to the annual DZ Halloween MEP was a really big deal, you know, way back in the day. And it'd be like a 25-minute MEP. Like
and it had like
one of the last ones I was part of the last one, actually, the 2014 Halloween MEP. And Chameleon 808 did the intro, and that was pretty tight. But I don't know if you're familiar with him. He did the Apple Tree edit. You ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
You've probably seen it, but it's not ringing a bell. He didn't do a whole lot after that, but he was in DZ as an editor for a while. But that's a 20-minute MEP, and it still has some of the best work I've seen. You know, there's a 40-minute MEP dedicated to an old member of DZ who died, and like those have some of the best work in it. And they're still really coherent, you know, like even like one person's part will be like 8 minutes. My part for that is a whole quarter of that 20-minute thing, you know, like I had a 5-minute part for the MVP. Yeah. But I feel like, you know, making the video a coherent whole is the most important thing. You know, if you have people in there who are clashing, if their styles don't complement, in a way, even with contrast, that complement each other. It's pointless. And yeah, it's fun, I guess, as a project, but it comes out with a shitty video. So it's fun, but it's not fun to watch.
Something that stood out to me from what Crimson said about MEPs was that you guys don't pressure on deadlines.
Yeah, we don't. Because first off, whenever anyone watching this will know, if you put a deadline on an MEP, it's meaningless. It's meaningless. You'll have like 10 people doing an MEP. You'll set a deadline 2 months out, give them plenty of time, right? No, dude, 2 months will roll by and 5 people out of it won't even have started, and 2 people will have had scraps, and you get like two parts that are actually done or something. Like it doesn't matter. When it's done, it's done. When it's ready, it's ready. Like my favorite map we've done, I think we've done 2 now, was Legend, and I organized everything with that. I was I said the creative director for the project. But I think we finished all of our parts for that in like a week or 2. I'm pretty sure, like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah,
maybe a bit longer. But I ended up doing 2 parts in it to patch it because someone couldn't do part of it or something. I don't know. But that's coherent video. I didn't not credit people. I didn't timestamp it intentionally. And then I do for a lot of people's projects too. I'm brought on as the color correction guy, the color grading guy for stuff, the effects guy. I do the same stuff on everyone's parts to make it all blend together. I do the seams between parts and stuff like that. I fix it up and generally. Then I do the encode and scripting it and whatnot, for it to make it as coherent as possible. So when you're watching it, it's going. It's not a big bunch of broken up parts. It's one coherent piece,
So, what did I want to say again?
Still doing better than Carl.
I'm sorry, Carl. I don't even know him that much.
I'm not sorry, Carl.
I'm sorry, Carl. But I wanted to transition into this topic, which brings me back to the last time we spoke, which wasn't 8 years ago. It was last year during a stream.
Okay.
All right. So you probably don't remember this, but TM.
I love TM.
Yeah. Shout outs to TM.
Shout out to TM. You're such a sweetheart, bro. I love you.
I still talk to that guy almost every day. He visited me last year, he's still part of this friend group that I talk to daily. And he about a year ago told me that you were streaming. Patton was streaming, he told me. And I remembered you from 7-8 years ago. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta find this out. And I get on your stream and I noticed you look different. You want to talk about it?
Nah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. So you, my friend, you were bald. You had shaved your head.
I was buzzing my head at the time. I buzzed my head for a year almost.
It looked really dope, I have to say.
Yeah, I pulled it off well. When I was in high school, I was listening to a lot of Smashing Pumpkins. So, the lead singer of that band, Billy Corgan, who I related to on a creative level too, he shaved his head. That was his look, or is his look still. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go see what I can do if I could pull off the shaved head look. Because I had cut my hair pretty short before. And it's just whatever. So I'm like, fuck, I'm just buzz my head and see what happens.
So you didn't care about it at all? Because I know that I would be very hesitant to actually do that.
Yeah, and everyone should be unless you're going through some weird breakup and you just buzz your head to be empowered, don't do it really. Just go shorter and see how it works a little bit and then go full on. But I feel like I did the buzzed head thing pretty well. That was also after I didn't cut my hair for 3 years. So when you saw me on stream, I hadn't cut my hair for 3 years, and then I buzzed my head one day. So I went from having really long hair past my shoulders to no hair at all. Because I feel like I'm kind of a person of extremes, and a lot of people can know that by now. But I feel like if you're gonna do something, anything, you do it all the way or you don't do it at all. And a lot of what I do in my personal life, my workflow and ethic and stuff reflects that too. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. But I feel like what's the point of doing anything in moderation for the most part?
Yeah.
So I'm either want all the hair or I want none of it. So in high school, I buzzed my head once, and then that was okay, and I let it go, let it grow out a little bit. I was doing a disconnected undercut for a while. Then I grew my hair out for like 3 years. Didn't cut my hair at all. I had really long hair. And then I got a new job where you couldn't have long hair at the place. Yeah, that was part of the dress code. Men couldn't have super long hair. So I'm like, I don't want to do anything in between. So like, fuck this. So I just buzzed my head again. I did that for like a year, like 9 months. I was at that place, and I left that place, and I haven't cut my hair since leaving that place. So I haven't cut my hair in a little over a year now. So I'm back to having some
pretty
long hair
again.
Yeah.
That must have felt pretty freeing, though. I know people that buzz their heads are like, they have less stuff to deal with in the morning, for example.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same with like growing my hair out too. Like I just stopped cutting my hair. I don't do anything with it. I don't get in management like haircuts to like keep it like tame. Like I let it go. I don't do it. I haven't had a haircut now. See, when I was buzzing my head, I just did it myself. I just like I'd wake up like I just buzz my head. I do that once like every like 4 days or something, you know.
Yeah.
And that'd be it. I was just like, it was nice having a low maintenance thing too. I was just like lazy, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do this real quick anyway. Plus, I'm not paying a shit ton of money for a haircut all the time, or have to worry about managing it and putting gel in and this and that. And it's like, nah, like
being
presentable. Exactly. And now my hair is fine to the point where I just tie it back, and it's just like that's it. That's it. Easy, nice, like lazy. Like I don't have to like fuck with it.
For a while there,
like weird like in between stage where it's not short but it's not long, but you can't pull it back. It's just like I had to like gel it all weird and shit, and it was just irritating. But yeah. But that was the old meme for my stream, was like, you know, the bald jokes and shit. So now I'm actually going to start streaming again because I took a bit of a break from that for a while to try and get some stuff together in my life.
Like how did you actually get into streaming? Like I didn't know you were actually streaming until TM had told me.
Yeah, I had been trying to stream. I like even like built like a recording studio basically.
I saw that, yeah.
Specifically, learned about broadcast stuff, you know, audio interfaces, stuff like that. Learned a lot about audio that year, which is nice. And I wanted to get into it to try something sort of like just new. Like I'd always done a bunch of creative stuff, and I've done almost everything else up until that point. So I'm like, okay, let me try this out now. Let me see how this goes. You know, the aspect of talking to people in the chat while it was going. I'd been a part of some streams, and I'd watched some streamers. I'd streamed in the past, like in 2012, for a little bit, but I never pursued it. So I wanted to try and give them a shot and really see what I could do with it, bringing my editing expertise over into it. And I did that for, I think, almost a year. I was streaming. I streamed pretty much almost every day from February 2018 till December 2018.
How did that go? Like streaming every day for a year, you probably learn a couple things about like not only the stream, but about yourself, because a lot of people say that it's very stressing that they have to put on a face every time they're online. And when they do it every day, it kind of feels like they got like this, some sort of identity crisis, like getting like a bit mentally tired of not being themselves.
People have an online persona and a real life person. And a lot of people are really good at keeping that separated. And it's really good for some people to keep that separated. For others, they're sort of exactly the same person as they are. And for a long time, I was different people. I was exactly someone in real life, and I was exactly someone else online.
Did that?
I feel like I've definitely bridged that gap a lot, especially in the last year. Like I'm very much, people think, oh, like this guy's the fucking dickhead troll who like does this wild shit and talks shit or whatever, and it's like kind of crazy or whatever. But he would never say this to my face in real life. And
I think that's funny that people actually say that.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm kind of exactly this person in real life, and I am. You know, like over this last year of my life has definitely been the craziest year of my life. And I've definitely grown the most as a person from it, just because it's just been insane. But streaming every day, yeah, you do learn a lot from, I would do it a minimum of 4 hours. Most days I would do at least 7 or 8 though.
That's a long time.
You learn a lot. Yeah. It was fun. I have a great following. When I announced people I was going to start doing it again, pretty much almost everyone who were part of like the main clique that I saw every day immediately came back and were excited for it, which is pretty crazy. You can take a year off from interacting with them, then you say you're going to do it again, and everyone jumps back on board and is ready for it. So that's pretty amazing, honestly.
That's pretty cool. Like that you actually have like a community that you kind of build up that still supports you even after this time.
Yeah, it's really encouraging. It's nice. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to keep it in check this time, though. I'm not going to be doing anything full time. It was really stressful at the time because I had a really bad job and I wasn't making a lot of money because I wanted to pursue creative stuff for like a year and see how hard I could go into that. And streaming was part of that, but I wasn't making the right moves to make it a sustainable thing for me at the same time. So all those things sort of, along with other stresses in my personal life at the time, everything kind of like came together to be too much. And I had to like step back from that and reevaluate things. And there's a lot of time that people will spend, not just me, but in general, if you're not careful in making the internet something financially sustainable for you, at least financially, then you could pass up a lot of things in your life, end up neglecting a lot of things IRL. If you're not careful, it'll pass you by because time flies, man. Like I remember 2010. I'm going back. I've been talking this whole time about a bunch of old head stuff, and I feel like it was yesterday. And right now, as it is, we're 27 days till 2020.
Yeah, man.
Like
a decade.
You'll like I'm gonna blink and I'll be 30, and it hit me one day that's sort of like a realization that like I'm gonna be like 25 soon. I'm gonna be like 30 soon. I'm gonna be like 35 soon. It's like, cause like 2015 was like 2 weeks ago. It's like shit just flies by, and if you aren't making the right moves online, you aren't blowing up and making it a financial thing, that's not always a bad thing. To step back, reevaluate things, and get your life together. I'm in so much of a better position now because I took that step to step back than if I just kept going and producing low quality content and getting burnt out.
Yeah.
I have a really nice paying job. I have a new car. I have my own house. Like I've secured myself in a position now where when I do pursue creative things, I have a nice personal safety net to fall back onto. Financial needs are always met. I'm not stressing about bills or like all kinds of stuff. That was a big thing for me back then. But it allows you to focus and make higher quality content. But if you're blinded by like, yeah, just pursue your dreams, fuck it, bro. Like, there's a lot of blind encouragement.
That is really 50-50.
Yeah, there's a lot of blind encouragement, but not a lot of direction with that. And the steps to pursuing your dreams might be to take a step back. There was something that my great grandfather said to my dad that really stuck with me, that he told me, and it's kind of been like a personal motivation for me for many years. And that's, well, my dad's upbringing was like pretty rough. His dad was kind of a piece of shit and like really didn't like approve of anything he did. Like anytime he had an idea, he'd be like, "That's retarded. Why would you do that?" Blah blah, this and that. So he had like no encouragement except for his grandfather. And one thing that his grandfather told him that he told me was, if you never risk anything, you'll never lose anything, but you'll never have any more than you have right now. And that's like been like ingrained in my head. I was like, damn, that's some like real shit. And
that's your mantra right now.
Yeah, exactly. My great grandfather is a multi-millionaire, so like he has the financial credibility to back that statement like that up. But that's something that my dad has lived his life by, and looking at him and what he's done, it works out for you, but his path has been kind of the same as mine. It's like, it's all over the place. It's taking steps back here and there for years, but in the right way, Yeah,
because stuff like this, I feel like when people, I remember being 20 at a school and being in like this youth group type of thing where we talk about our problems, because I was like troubled.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my fears that I listed that my teacher thought was kind of weird, that I was 20, but I felt like I had already filled doing what I wanted to do at that age. And what she said was like, yeah, but you're so young. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not an editor. I don't have a job. School's going bad. Like, my life fucking sucks right now. And I'm like, I'm 25 right now, and I have all that now by going through like an extremely rocky road. Like, I did some really shitty work to land the job that I have now. But a lot of people get very discouraged, get discouraged very easily, I'd say, by these inconveniences that actually may be signs, like you said, like take a step back, like relax, take your time type thing.
Like the alluring story of, yeah, I'm going to be an artist. I'll move to LA and I don't care if I got to live in a fucking dump with 15 other dudes and be starving every day, but I'm going to be making art and it'll pay off. Like, those are all really nice stories, and some of my biggest inspirations, and you know, people who did that. But for every one of those, you know, Rick Owens, stuff like that, you know, he's one of my biggest motivations to inspirations creatively. But Neil Young, but like, yeah, for every one of those stories, there's 1,000 more that end up shitty, you know, like. And there's something wrong with taking about the ones that it's safe. Actually, no one hears about that. The dudes who go out there and risk it all and fucking fail and don't.
Exactly.
Because if you don't learn something from that, if you can't see this not working out and reevaluate things and do something differently, then you're going to just burn yourself out creatively. You know, there's not going to be a big break where it blows up because you're not going to be in the right headspace to make the work and then to act right once it does start going for you, you know, to actually take advantage of the things given to you, even in that moment. And there's even more of those stories, you know, people who do blow up and 2 years later, they're either literally dead or creatively dead publicly.
Yeah, like I think a big personality was Lil Peep.
Exactly. It's a very good example, you know, like someone who got definitely like
very troubled kid.
Got taken advantage of creatively, I feel like, too. I don't know if you've watched the documentary about him yet, but
I haven't yet, but I probably will soon. But yeah,
it's really
that
shitty.
Was some sad stuff, man.
And it paints the documentary paints Goth Boy Click as being like a bad influence on him. And if you know anything about what actually happened and transpired between everyone who was actually there, you'll know it was almost entirely his management, which was the cause of his death.
Damn.
And his mom's suing them right now, his management, for that. But it, you know, that happened back in 2017. It's 2019, almost 2020 now, and that's not an uncommon thing. You know, once you do get to the point where you're going up, you know, everyone wants a piece that you're part of. And if you're not gonna keep the right people around, if you're not ready to be in that kind of headspace, even if you think you are, it'll swallow you up. You know, even if it's an accidental overdose on fentanyl, the amount of fucking Xans he was doing up until that point was crazy because the fact that management was getting him all that stuff and pushing him out on stage all the time. I don't know if you know, part of the reason he was taking some of that shit on Instagram Live was the insurance would cover the show because he didn't want to perform because it was like the fucking 20th show, like, or something, like he had done like every night or whatever or something. As part of that management's tour, and they said if you just take a bunch of drugs, the insurance will cover it because they'll see, like, yeah, you can't go on stage because that was part of exactly stuff like that. But that scales to all levels, you know.
That is like
as silly as being an AMV editor talking about that kind of stuff. It's like it scales in general. Professionals, people who want to do creative stuff professionally, it's like you have to know how to maneuver your way there. And it's not always a straight line. And pretty much everything you do in life is never going to be a straight line. So if you're always looking for that, you're probably not going to find it. And you're going to be wasting years trying to find it.
Yeah, like that the stuff that I've been doing for the past 3 years included, like I said, like working at a McDonald's, which barely got me because I was living with my parents. But I will say, like, before I go into this, like, I made very risky decisions that ended up being good decisions because I kind of like powered through them. So it went from like I was living in the Netherlands, or like born and raised Netherlands. I have Turkish parents, like very strict parents, and I was at some point, I'm just working at this fucking McDonald's. I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And I moved to Germany, which is like right next to it. And you know, I was here with my girlfriend, and I worked in like a factory. I didn't know the language. I didn't know anyone. I just knew my girlfriend, and I worked at a factory for like 2 years, and it was very like if it fucked with my head. I can definitely say that because I was like, I know who I am, I know what I am capable of, but here I am packing some boxes. But throughout those 2 years, I learned the language. I applied for agencies. I did small jobs for them for free. Like that's definitely a big thing why I got this job. I did a lot of shit for free. And then once I got the hang of the language, I applied for an agency, that the one I'm working at now, and I probably stalked them for like 3 months until they fucking took me because like I can see now, like my boss is someone who really avoids like new people. He's kind of like, our company's good, but we need someone, but we're not sure. And I was like, yo, fucking take me, man. And now I got a position there, but that took like fucking 3 years of just hell to get there, which was very risky, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really recommend it. But if you are on that rocky road right now, like definitely don't give up. Honestly, don't give up.
Don't give up, but don't lose perspective. Yeah.
During those 3 years, like for myself, like I can really say that I kind of at some points I was like, I didn't really know who I was anymore. Like I really got because I'm around people that don't speak my language and I don't speak theirs. It's like you're really just alone there with yourself. And with a lot of creative people that are, for example, not necessarily in an area where they don't speak with others, but where they are in their own head with their own ideas and are around people they can't talk to about it, you kind of get like a bit messed up in the head, or
Yeah.
it is possible that happens.
You know, I'm sure everyone listening knows plenty of people online like that, and that's exactly why they're online.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like I've always like definitely felt isolated in real life from people. Just the mentalities about a lot of things just not matching up. And you know, I'm sure that a lot of people I know online, but in the AMV community specific, you know, suffer from depression and like just like a weird thing of like, I'm not a weird thing, but just like a myriad of mental deficiencies or illnesses and stuff, afflictions, things like that.
Yeah.
I forgot I was gonna go with this, but yeah, that's not. It's pretty prevalent just amongst creatives in general, you know. And you can, like, I funnel a lot of that into my work. Some of my best work, you know, editing wise in general, some of my best videos were made when I felt like I was about to fucking like kill myself or something, you know. Like I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna edit this video. Like I'll focus into this or whatever. But I was like on the edge of like about to fucking just off myself or something. But you know. But you can see that kind of emotion funneled into the editing too, like the video. And at least it means that to me personally. But other people can even like see it, and it definitely comes through. And just like any form of art, you know, music or painting, whatever it is, you can put your emotions into the art itself.
I think there was a guy that did that with a Gurren Lagann video called The Age of Spiralism.
Yeah, Goda Gang's
Yeah.
Christian, man. I used to be really tight with him. He kind of disappeared
That video
off
was
the face
amazing.
of the earth, but I remember that video got released. I have a couple of betas of that on like an old hard drive somewhere he sent me. Yeah. That's a pretty emotional. There's a lot of AMVs like that too, where like I'm watching it and it means a lot to me because of the personal time in my life. So I associate both that AMV and that song with it. You know, you ever have that? Like you hear a song and it's like, oh shit, I'm 14 again, like in an instant.
Oh yeah, like I'll just scroll all the way back up on my or back then I didn't even have like an online platform like Spotify. Like I still have the same music folder that I used to have back in the day. And I just sort that by date, and I just go down. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
I still use the Zune music player app. When I was a kid, I didn't have an iPod. I had a Zune,
oh my
and
god,
on your computer to sync music to it, you had to like use like the weird program. But I got so accustomed to it, like literally, it's just like 2009. I grown so accustomed to that like that's the only thing I'll use to play music still on my computer. Like I don't have a Spotify account. Well, actually I do, but it's like an artist account. I don't even use it to like listen to shit. It's just to upload stuff on. But I use the Zune music player app to listen to stuff, and it's so shitty, but it's like what I've been using for literally 10 years now.
I think I've been paying for Spotify for the past 7 years as a service. So I have this playlist that has over 1,000 songs since I made it, and then when I go all the way back, you legit like if you were to like scroll down, and you can also sort it, or like you can see the genres. You can legit see my music taste just changing as you scroll. You just go down, you're like, okay, it goes from like punk rock to like metal, death metal, and then there's like rap in there, and it's like it starts being really weird. And even now it's like I start adding songs from NH. I think that's his name.
Oh yeah, Annie. I just call him Annie. NH, just one H, one singular
And,
H.
All right. I think we should wrap this up. It has been.
Is he DMing you to shut the fuck up? Just kidding.
I can't really talk about that. But he's not.
All right.
He's not even here.
No, he's not. He just fell asleep. He's just there.
Yeah.
He posted a couple of gifts and he passed out.
Sucking on his thumb right there.
He's not here. He thinks he's messaging. He's here. That's not him. That's not even him.
No.
That's just Corey. Soul's icon.
Yeah.
Corey.
So we'll actually find out if Corey is going to be on the next episode. That would be pretty fun.
We should. You and me should definitely do another episode. We're definitely going to do another episode.
Yeah, man. I feel like I just went through like a time capsule because we talk about so much shit that we actually remember happening back in the day.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot more, so we should definitely save it for another episode.
Exactly.
But, yeah. What's your what are you on? Are you still active on YouTube? Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I'll upload every now and then. My name is Golden Shinigami, which is a name I regret making. Yeah, it's funny because that used to be a backup account when backup accounts were a thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it's still better than Muffin AMV, so you're
it's
good.
Like, guys, before I get deleted, please. But
you're still active on there though, so you upload stuff
every now and then, but it's nothing I'm really passionate about. Like I edit so much now in like my personal life, like professionally, that when I come home, I don't even want to touch that stuff. But I do still do stuff from time to time. I'm very, very inconsistent.
That's most people listening. That's fine.
Sorry for calling you guys out.
I'm not. You could find me youtube.com/user muffinamv. You can see me in the link below. I go by osnv now. Catch my stream twitch.tv/osnv. I'll be streaming again at least 3 days a week, probably coming up soon, sometime in December. There's my plugs. Also, that we didn't talk about at all. I'm sure everyone's expecting it still, but I do have an EP coming out early next year. I finally recorded everything. Everything's being mixed. Everything's recorded. So that's it. I spent the last year making music. So that will save talking about that for another time, I suppose. I don't know. Hold on.
When you release it.
Scripting part 2. Oh my God, he's scripting part 2. Scripting part
shit.
2 ever coming. Part 2 of a scripting series is coming. I keep redoing the writing on it, so nothing exists of it right now. I have an idea of what it is in my head. I recorded dialogue for it, or I guess the part of the voiceover for it, like a half month ago, probably now. And I didn't like where it was, so I want to get in a place where it's where I want it to be and where it's good enough for the people who deserve to hear it. So it is coming. 2020, it's coming.
Right, you can't take that back now.
I just said 2020, man. I could do December 30th.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, so it's 2020. It's coming, boys.
All right, man. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. So thank you for coming on the podcast. I think we're definitely going to do a part 2 when we find another date again.
Absolutely.
But this was really
man.
fun.
It was. It'd be great. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.
Peace out.